So the Gold Cup quarterfinals didn't go quite to plan. Then you have Dane St. Clair, who in this match goes the right way just to look like a fucking wet piece of spaghetti. Ishmael Kone, was sitting on the bench.
Mexico, I bow down to the kings of CONCACAF, unquestionably the best team in the region. It's out of 16 for Minnesota United.
I don't care about the MLS.
On behalf of the CoDaKrew podcast, I would like to issue a formal apology for our predictions for the Gold Cup quarterfinals and the rest of the tournament that we had just a few days ago. So if you did not know, Swapnil and I both said that Canada and Panama would be the finalists for the Gold Cup. And what happened? Both of them got knocked out in the quarters. I also said that Mexico, the favorites, were going to be knocked out by Saudi Arabia. And not only was I wrong, Saudi Arabia didn't even get a single shot on target in that match. And Mexico are now looking like the resounding favorites. Now, at least Swapnil, to your credit, you did get 2 out of the 4. You did get the Mexico one right. And you also said that USA vs Costa Rica would go to penalties and the US would win that.
So that was a surprisingly good call. Yeah.
You know, good call for you. As for me, not really any good calls, unless you want to count getting the US, getting the winner right. Unless you want to count that, I had nothing good. So I'm gonna let you start. Where do you want to start with our review for this Gold Cup, man?
I think we can honestly just go in order of how the matches played out. So let's start with Panama versus Honduras. Now, like you said, we did both have Panama going to the finals. You had them ultimately winning. I had Canada taking the trophy. And I think in this game, Panama looked like they were very clear into the semifinals. They were pretty dominant in the opening half. I think there was something like 80% possession through the first half hour. 5 corners and an expected breakthrough from Ishmael Diaz after a neat layoff by Carrasquilla. And Diaz's goal marked his 7th of the tournament. He had become Panama's go-to scorer. He's been blending speed and smart movement with composure in the box. But there was a familiar issue for Panama. They don't kill games off. After the goal, they took their foot off the gas, and Honduras started sensing space down the left flank. Christian Martinez faded as the match wore on. He had started strong, helping circulate the ball quickly, but he got boxed out once Honduras adjusted their press and double-marked him. The back line, particularly Escobar and Miller, started making poor decisions under pressure. Panama conceded 5 fouls in the final 15 minutes of regular time alone. Signs of panic for sure. And Honduras were patient. Despite being outplayed for long stretches, they kept their 4-2-3-1 shape and picked the right moments to press. And Rivera's halftime switch to a higher block definitely paid off. The equalizer from Lozano was a bit scrappy, but nonetheless deserved given how the game had been playing out. A recycled corner led to chaos in the box, and Panama was just unable to clear their lines. The penalty shootout was pretty high quality, I would say. It was going especially well for Honduras, really, because Godoy, I believe, messed up on Panama's 3rd shot, and so it was looking like they could manage within the regular 5 penalties. But of course, Lozano, the goal scorer in regular time, did miss his shot at the very end, so they went into sudden death, where Guerrero missed Panama's 2nd penalty, and Pineda was able to finish it off for Honduras. Quite the upset, I would say, given that Panama has been performing very well in CONCACAF as of recent, but definitely a deserved win for Honduras.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. This was Christensen's worst game managing for Panama. So much went wrong. I mean, like you were saying, how many times has Panama had a 1-0 lead, they look solid, and then they fade away, and they give away a goal at the end? Basically, for the last, 20 minutes of that match, Panama was just parking the bus the entire time, and I'm sorry, you do not have the personnel to go and do that, especially against increasingly strong CONCACAF competition, such as Honduras. I think one thing was super clear from this match, and that was that this Panama squad is really, really missing something without Carrasquilla. And we saw this sort of get masked in the group stage matches because let's be real, nobody in their group had a good midfield. But for me, I think it was very clear that Godoy and Harvey were the two worst players on the lineup for Panama. Neither of them got even close to replicating the performance that Carrasquilla would have had if he were playing. And, even looking within the midfield further, we have Christian Martinez, who had a good first half. He does fade away in the second half. That is fair. I will give that to you. But then I still think subbing him off was a wrong choice because Panama don't have somebody else that can control the midfield the way that he's capable of doing. And I think he's just badly played from start to finish, I'll be honest. Like, compared to Honduras, right? I think two of the best players for Honduras were actually Debbie Flores and Kevin Arage. That's the complete opposite of Panama. As Honduras adjusted to this match in the second half, they exploited the exact weakness that Panama had, and that was the deciding factor that got Honduras this win. I think Honduras fully deserved to get that equalizer and to bring it to penalties. And if anything, they were maybe more deserving because, Panama, at least Honduras were able to score from an actual open play goal, whereas Panama just get a penalty, right? I mean, we do also have to give credit to Honduras' goalkeeper. Menjivar has an amazing game, and he's actually been, I think, fairly solid all tournament. I mean, people give him shit for the 6-0 defeat, but I don't even know how many of those goals you can realistically ask a keeper to save. So I'm not gonna be too mad at him for that. I just want to say one thing though. So Panama, after that Nations League final, they were the they were by some argued that they would be a top 3 team in CONCACAF, and I think I was part of that conversation too. I also thought that Panama was a top 3 team. I think that's gone out, to be honest, because this game just exposes the depth that a team like Panama, and if we're being honest, the lack of depth that like every team out of the big 3 in North America have. And while I'm not gonna like crap on Christensen too much for one bad game, like I think this sort of shows that there is still a skill gap between the big 3 and everyone else in CONCACAF.
Yeah, I mean, if we look back to the group stage, Panama for sure was a title contender. We saw Diaz bagging a hat trick against Jamaica, and he was leading the Golden Boot race by a considerable margin. And even with Carrasquilla injured, the midfield looked composed. Christian Martinez was able to fill that playmaking void well. And the defense was pretty tidy too. And of course, Mascara, as he has been for the past 2, 3 years, was quietly playing as one of the best keepers of the tournament with some huge saves, including against Jamaica. And of course, you had head coach Christensen, who I was saying in our last segment. One of the great things with this Panama team was that Christensen was rotating really smartly across all 3 of those group stage games. Everyone looked fresh, and there was no over reliance on any one player or style or system. Uh, yeah, no, Panama seemed like a all around very cohesive team. Just an all around good team in the group stage. And it's just unfortunate, really, that as soon as they got to the knockouts, that's when they kind of fell apart. Because, of course, they finished the group stage on 9 points. They won all 3 of their games, and they maybe could have gotten away with making some mistakes, drawing, or even losing a game in the group stage and still potentially getting through to the knockouts. But unfortunately for them, they made all of these errors at the worst time possible because they're not going to get a chance to redeem themselves here. So I guess all they can really do now is keep training and hope things will be better for World Cup qualifiers.
I want to just make one thing clear though. I did see some people commenting, uh, just online in general, that Panama are frauds, that Christensen is an ass manager. I just want to make it clear one game does not change the narrative here. We cannot be forgetting that Panama just made the Nations League finals and before that made the quarterfinals of the Copa America. This is a good team. They don't have the depth. Christensen is a good manager, and they're missing players. Now, I don't make the same excuse for when Mexico is missing players, when Canada is missing players. The U.S. is playing like a B team, so like they do get the excuse. But because we're not, unless you want to treat Panama to the same standard that you treat the true giants of this region, then you can't be calling Panama a fraud for this one loss. I just want to make that abundantly clear. I wouldn't be too alarmed if I were a Panamanian. I still think that they are a very solid regional threat, definitely top four. They can still be pushing for a top three spot, and I think that they will not have any issues making the World Cup. But yeah, I mean, say it however you want. This is a pretty bad loss for them.
Yeah, though again, I do just think it is unfortunate the timing with which they have made these mistakes, and I think a lot of that talk about Christensen being a bad manager is due to them obviously getting knocked out here with an upset. Of course, like we saw upsets from other teams, like when Canada drew with Curacao, for example. But in that match, again, we had the capacity to make a couple of mistakes because we were in the group stage. So again, it's just unfortunate timing for Panama here, I feel like. But I really do hope they'll do better because this is a very exciting team, and I'd definitely like to see them go through to the World Cup and do some things there. Now, with that said, though, I think we can move on to our second match of the quarterfinals, which was, I would say, relatively standard. The result it was Mexico versus Saudi Arabia, a 2-0 for Mexico, and they started slow. Again, it's kind of becoming a theme under Aguirre. They spent the first 20, 25, 30 minutes circulating the ball sideways with little to no incision. Really, the first half was pretty slow paced, to be honest. But that changed in the second half when Vegas stepped up. His strike on the rebound was Mexico's first goal from open play since I think the first match day of the group stage. We've been seeing them as scoring so many different set piece goals, like lots from corners. And this goal, though, felt like a release of pressure. Santi Jimenez, I think, was benched, which raised some eyebrows. But other Jimenez, Raul, also responded well with a smart assist, dropping deep to link and dragging defenders out of shape. And yeah, that first half, like I said, pace was kind of questionable, but I think they really picked it up in the second. And I mean, we've seen with this Saudi team that they're not at their best. They have injuries. Not all of their best players are here. And the win con for Saudi was basically that they're able to just shut out Mexico. And then maybe they can score a cheeky goal, or more likely they go to penalties and they manage to win it there. But unfortunately, they just couldn't hold on for 90 minutes. And I wouldn't really blame it on them. I'd say Mexico just played that second half pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. To be honest, after this match, I will never ever shit on this Mexico team, disrespect them, say that they're gonna get knocked out by a weaker team in a tournament ever again. Okay, Mexico, I bow down to the kings of CONCACAF. Unquestionably, the best team in the region. The only one that might not embarrass us in the World Cup next year. Congratulations to Mexico. Because, first off, like you were saying, raising some eyebrows, I think it was calculated by Javier Aguirre, despite the scrappy way, the very questionable way, let's be honest, that Mexico topped their group through basically only scoring one goal in open play, and that was in the first match against the Dominican Republic. I mean, it must have all been part of Aguirre's master plan because he was confident enough to, substitute out Santi Jimenez, Cesar Montes, continue to do experimentation with the midfield, and they controlled this match from start to finish. Saudi Arabia's low block, even when they're playing the second team, is not easy to break down. I mean, we saw, even though they lost as well, we did see Saudi Arabia, for example, manage to stop the U.S. from getting many chances. I think the U.S. only got like 2 shots on target and 5 shots total, compared to Mexico's 14. So that's a big difference here. And I think, yeah, I mean, say what you want. I guess Mexico are able to turn up. They're able to get the scrappy wins that they quote unquote aren't supposed to. Meanwhile, Canada can't do that, not be able to beat Curacao, and not be able to beat Guatemala, as we'll talk about later. And I think that's the reason why they're better than us. They are the favorites coming to this tournament. They still unquestionably are. And I guess the one thing, if you really want to crowd them a little bit, the fact that Saudi Arabia was parking the bus so much, I think maybe papers over a bit of the flaw that Mexico has the most, which is the midfield, because now there isn't real Mexico doesn't really have to fight for control over possession and all that. But I don't know. I mean, it's still a tough ask to dominate Saudi Arabia like that. I don't even think Saudi Arabia got a shot on target. So I mean, listen, big up to Mexico. Yeah, Saudi Arabia's got like one shot from like 40 feet out that wasn't on target. So, fully deserved one for Mexico. They're definitely looking like the favorites, and I need to stop doubting this team, man. Like, they're the real deal.
Yeah, it was a pretty dominant match for them. I think they were better in every major stat besides fouls, which they had more of. And a lot of players looked better this game than they did in the group stage. You had the midfield duo of Chavez and Govea with more vertical passes, better off ball movement. Maybe not elite, but definitely lots of progress. Gilberto Mora, 16 years old, made his tournament debut. It was a big risk in a knockout match for sure, but he played fearlessly, even getting forward quite a few times down the left. Defensively, I think Montez was rested for this game, but Vasquez and Sepulveda handled Saudi Arabia's limited, perhaps, threats with ease. Their aerial dominance helped keep things very tidy for Mexico. And like you said, Saudi had one shot from way out, not a single shot on target. They really didn't get anywhere close to scoring, which was kind of to be expected with how they've been playing. But again, the defense was tidy in this match. And the own goal that sealed the game, a chaotic scramble off a low cross, has kind of summed up Saudi Arabia's defensive struggles under pressure. But again, they are not playing their strongest team here. They have had injuries since the start of the tournament, so I can't really blame them. And they are the guests too, so there's not as much in it for them. Whereas for, of course, the Mexico team, El Tri, like I said, they started off slow, but with that extra tempo in the second half, and Vega and Tuna and Cordoba combining well in transition, they were able to get a very much deserved win here. This win was definitely needed for confidence, but it still doesn't answer what I think is a key question. Can Mexico sustain attacking intent from the first whistle?
I mean, yeah, it is a fair question to be like completely clear, but in the context of North America, nobody can sustain attack for a full game. We saw glimpses of that with Canada in the Canadian Shield, but they have not replicated it. We saw the U.S. I mean, we'll get there later. Also, they let off the gas against Costa Rica. Panama let off the gas against Honduras. Yeah, I mean, Mexico's not an elite is not like an elite squad on a global level. I still think that they're definitely the best in our region, and I mean, if I wanted to say a quick note about Saudi Arabia, like I'm a little disappointed, honestly, with what's happening here. I understand that they're missing like a lot of their key players, like they're playing in the Club World Cup, Al Hilal, all that stuff, but they made every game a snooze fest. I don't think Bernard came here with the intention of even trying to win. I think this was just like he just treated this as a training exercise, and I get trying to recruit teams from other continents to get more experience playing outside of CONCACAF, but what's the point of getting an AFC team to play in the Gold Cup when they're just gonna play like a CONCACAF team? That just felt like a giant waste to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, of course, Saudi they've had other things on their plate. Of course, they just got out of World Cup qualifiers before coming into this tournament. But yeah, I think we've definitely seen much better guest performances before. Like well, actually, to be honest, last year's guest performance was arguably not much better with Qatar losing 4-0 to Panama. But
Well, the first Qatar one was pretty good.
yeah,
Honestly.
because then the one before that, 2021, they beat El Salvador and then only lost 1-0 to the U.S. in the semifinals. So we've seen good performances from guests, including guests from the AFC. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't think they really came here with much intention to win at all. You could honestly question why they showed up because I'm not sure the Saudi team got. I mean, I guess if there's one thing they did get out of it, it's that they basically had a good chance to experiment with players, especially since some players were injured. At that point, you may as well. It's something we've actually seen quite a lot of in this tournament. Like I said earlier, we had Mexico bringing Mora on for his tourney debut. We had Lots of experimentation from Canada, which I do have quite a lot to say about in the next segment. But yeah, I guess that's the one good thing to come out of this for Saudi. And it's not a great performance from them, but I'm not really going to use this to like as a indicator for how they're going to perform next year in the World Cup. Uh, I don't think they were taking this tournament seriously. So for them, it's not that big of a deal. If we want to try and figure out how their team is going to progress over the next few years, we're going to have to look to other games for that. But yeah, again, as for Mexico, it's definitely a good outlook for them, and I think they can definitely keep this some of this momentum going into the semis and maybe the finals as well.
Yeah, well, I think with that being said, it's probably time to move on to the next match because I don't think there's too much to glean from one dominant team beating up a B team that parks the bus for 90 minutes. So let's move on to our home country because I want to rant about how terrible Canada's Gold Cup tournament was.
Oh yeah, I've
Now,
I've got a rant lined up too. Don't worry,
oh
I'll
yeah,
save that for after yours.
all right. So listen, we started off so well. We started off so well. That Honduras 6-0 win with Biello, by the way, not even Marsh. Marsh was suspended. Biello on the pitch. I thought, wow, we are the shit. We are the favorites. Well, I didn't say that on the podcast because I didn't want to jinx it, but I'll say it now. That's secretly what I was thinking. And then that draw to Curacao, which it felt like a loss. I'm not gonna lie because we played terrible. I mean, it was excusable, you know. Biello was still playing. Jesse Marsh was not able to communicate with him because of the touchline, him being secretly caught, whatever Marshgate, all that. And after that third match, which was it wasn't controlled. It was very aggressive from El Salvador, but we were able to pull it off. I thought, you know what? When we play Guatemala next, Guatemala is going to do the exact same game plan as El Salvador does, which they actually did, and we will know how to prepare for it. We will adjust accordingly, and we will have no problems. And then when we play the U.S. or Costa Rica, we will be the better side, and we will win that match. And then we will set up the opportunity to potentially get a rematch against Mexico to avenge ourselves in the Nations League, or get a match against Panama, and really have a true shifting of the guard in CONCACAF, or even someone else entirely, right? But what ended up happening in this match is, despite us playing so many Central American teams that all do this strategy, we somehow never learn, dude. Like, we are starting to tactically get better at managing these games, but our heads are not wired straight. Like, the fact that Jacob Schaffelberg, a player that had never gotten a red card in his career up to this point, one of the most mild-mannered people on this Canadian national team, got a red card in the first half against Guatemala. That speaks wonders to how immature this team is. And then, getting into a penalty shootout against Guatemala's backup keeper. Hagen was suspended for this match. They played a back. I don't even really know I don't even know anything about the guy. We still lose that shootout. And then we also have to blame Marsh a lot for all the mistakes that he made. Marsh making terrible tactical choices. So after the red card that we get in that first half, we're up 1-0. We're defending a precarious lead. Instead of putting an extra midfielder or defender to park the bus and see out a 1-0 win, we put on a third striker, and not only do we play three strikers, we play basically a 4-2-3 with the two of the strikers having to play as wingers. So we end up having Daniel Jebison trying to play left wing, which means no shit he gets locked out by Ander Herrera. We had like Kyle Laren playing right wing. We had Jonathan David getting injured because when you're trying to play three attackers out of position, like, this shit's gonna happen. And then we don't even sub on Promise David until then. Promise David is our fifth string, a guy who was like, if not the top goal scorer in the Belgian Pro League, like top three. And somehow we're saying that not only Tani Oluwase, but Daniel Jebison and Kyle Laren, we trust more than Promise David to play for this national team. And then in penalties, we don't sub out Maxime Crepeau in net. And this is like so egregious to me because we literally just had penalty shootout against the Ivory Coast, and St. Clair was shit. And that's fine because I understand you experimented at the time. You'd make the mistake now in a friendly so you don't make the mistake in the actual tournament. But then Jesse Marsh makes the exact same mistake again, and Dane St. Clair is absolutely dog shit again. And beyond that, I don't want to hear any talk about how Canada is arguably the kings of CONCACAF anymore, because I think that while we still do have better depth than like a Panama or a Costa Rica, our depth is still not good enough, especially for the style that Jesse Marsh plays. This match proves to me, as the whole tournament has to an extent, that we don't have good center backs beyond Bombito and Cornelius. Luke de Fougerolles is just not good enough, and as we've seen when we've tried to rotate, players like Kamal Miller, like I don't know Waterman, I don't even know if you want to go further back, Victoria, they can't play the system where you're going one on one and you're not playing possession ball. So that's a big issue. And then we're still relying on like players like Jacob Schaffelberg, who's in the starting lineup. The reason Jacob Schaffelberg is still starting for the Canadian national team is because he had a good performance in the Copa America a year ago. I don't understand why we aren't playing Ali Ahmed at this point. And why are we still relying on Kyle Laren, who has not been good for us for 3 years? Like, what are we doing? I've been a Jesse Marsh defender, but this is pretty bad. I'm not on like fire Jesse Marsh terms yet, but at this point, he's not even better than Herdman, bro. He's just like Herdman 2.0.
Okay, I guess it's time for my rant. So, Canada's first 45 minutes, honestly, looked pretty good. High press suffocated Guatemala, and Jonathan David's cool penalty finish off of, to be fair, a questionable penalty gave Canada a strong lead. And this team and its manager Jesse Marsh looked like they had learned from past errors until they didn't. Because Schaffelberg's red card right before halftime completely flipped the tone. And that wasn't Marsh's mistake, of course, but it gave him the chance to make a metric fuck ton of bad decisions afterward. Though, first, I have to talk about that yellow because it was so reckless. Schaffelberg, he was already booked and he body checked a guy at the halfway line like he was playing hockey. It gave Guatemala belief that they did not have up to that point. And like you said, we have played teams like this before. We just got past El Salvador, who got 2 red cards for this kind of behavior. And somehow we beat them, and then the very next match, we take that experience and do absolutely jack shit with it. And so at the start of the second half, we just about fall apart. And just like in the group stage, the subs and management once again raised questions. I was talking about when we were starting our predictions on this tournament that if we had Biello for these games, we might be screwed. Like maybe we can make it out of the group stage, uh, but we could have real trouble in the knockouts. We didn't have Biello. We had Marsh back, and look what happened here. It's almost like Biello ball without Biello. I promise, David, like you said, one of our most dynamic attackers was benched and only brought on in the 91st minute to replace Jonathan David, who was cooked by that point. We brought on one David to replace another instead of using them as a duo. This is such a promising pairing, and we're just not making use of it. Why? Because we have a
Nice
veteran.
promising pairing. I like that. Sorry, go ahead.
Because we have a veteran in Kyle Laren, and I guess I don't know because he's played well for us before. Like, just bring him on again. Like he has performed well for this national team in past times. I won't deny that, but he's not performing that way now. And so when penalties came, Jonathan David, our best taker, was not on the pitch. Meanwhile, Kyle Laren, who again I think has been quite disappointing for Canada in recent memory, was given a penalty. He hit it straight at the keeper. I know he's a veteran. I know he's done great things for the national team, but he is looking so shaky right now. Just from that run up, I could tell we were going to go down in the shootout right there. Ishmael Kone was sitting on the bench. You could have subbed him in for Pens. Why Laren? Luke de Fougerolles, who missed in the Canadian Shield shootout versus Cote d'Ivoire, was handed a high pressure spot kick again. Same result. And I know he's young. I know he doesn't have that much experience, but if that's the case, why are we putting him up so early? Again, Kone is there. We have takers here. We have people with more experience. We have people who aren't Kyle Laren, who aren't washed. Why can't we bring them into the shootout? And speaking of subs, Crapo watched from the bench as Dane St. Clair faced 7 penalties and made 0 saves again. And I'm pretty sure this is now 21 consecutive penalties he has faced for Canada without saving one. 18 have gone in, 3 have missed the net. He has not saved a single pen for
but he
himself.
saved 6 out of 16 for Minnesota United.
I don't care about the MLS. And to be clear,
I don't want to hear the announcers say that one more goddamn time. I don't give a crap how good he is at penalties in the MLS. Have you seen Crapo a net for us? Did you watch the what's it even called?
Venezuela. Yeah.
Against Venezuela? Like, what
Venezuela,
are you
exactly.
about?
Like, he was so good in Copa, man. Like, penalty shootouts, they're meant to be just luck. But, like, Crapo did so well for us. And, like, then you have Dane St. Clair, who in this match, he goes the right way, like, twice, just to look like a fucking wet piece of spaghetti. And the ball just slips past him. It's like he's bending around the ball. I swear that shit just went through him.
He touched the ball at least twice in the shootout, like at least 2 times, might have been more.
It's just phasing through him like it's got the fucking speed force. I don't know what's going on. I swear there could have been 2 saves, and he makes the right calls. He just does not have the grip. He's fine as like a regular time goalkeeper, but in pens he is just so terrible. And I think we did have subs, and it's like, why not just bring Crapo on? I'm going to go back to some points I made in previous Gold Cup segments when we were reviewing the first 2 days of the group stage 3 videos ago, and also predicting the third, and then 2 episodes ago when we were predicting the knockouts. I said we had been doing a lot of roster changes and experimentation thus far, and we were too cocky expecting an easy time in the group stage, which very much contributed to the draw against Curacao. I asked, why have we been taking these risks during the Gold Cup and not during the Canadian Shield, the friendly tournament we just hosted? And despite some questionable performances, especially that one against Curacao, I did say Canada can absolutely win this tournament, but only if we stop tinkering. Did we stop? No. And that, I think, is what really killed this match for us. I don't know, man. Canada, we beat ourselves. We had the red card, just like completely unnecessary aggression from Schaffelberg. Mismanaged substitutions before he had even come on. I mean, like, we had Promise David on the bench from the start, and he stayed out for all of regular time. Bad decisions with the penalty lineup. This is a squad that had the talent to win the tournament and was undone by stubbornness from all sorts of different angles. Jesse Marsch, he may have had a plan, but whatever plan he had in mind for this game, it all went to shit. It was a tactical and managerial failure, and a brutal waste of the momentum that these players have had going into this tournament. And look, 2026 is not far. In less than a year, we are co-hosting a World Cup. We qualified automatically as hosts, and so this tournament was supposed to be our launch pad in lieu of the fact that we weren't going to have qualifiers. Instead, we are going to spend the next 12 months asking basic questions we should have sorted out long ago. Who's our keeper? What's our penalty lineup? Why do we keep shuffling the roster like it's preseason? The talent is there. We have Davies. Of course, he wasn't playing in this tournament. We have Jonathan David and Promise David. We've got Kone, Buchanan coming up strong, but all that quality means nothing if the system keeps changing every match and we keep putting ourselves in tactical holes. You can feel it in the fan base too. There's hope, but there's frustration as well. Everyone wants to believe that we can make noise in 2026, but this tournament has made people rightfully nervous. It was a chance to build belief in this team, to prove that its story is not just a feel-good story, but something with actual substance behind it. And they blew that. If there is a silver lining for our tournament run, it is this. Better to learn these lessons now than at the World Cup. But they have to actually learn. Learn like I hoped they were going to learn from the Canadian Shield and the group stage, which they did not do nearly in time. They need to learn from these matches now and fix these issues in time for the World Cup. No more experimental rotations, no more treating tournaments like training sessions. 2026 is real, it's coming fast, and right now we don't look ready. But the pieces are still there, the core is young, the talent is legit, and their potential ceiling is high. I'll be honest, I've lost quite a bit of confidence in Marsh. I'm honestly not even sure if he's the right guy for this job anymore. But if he tightens the system, settles the rules, and starts trusting the right players, there's still time to turn this into a real team and not just a promising collection of names.
Dude, here's the thing, right? Why is Dane St. Clair still in conversation with Maxime Crepeau? I don't get it. Because, okay, we can say that he's a decent keeper in, like, open play, which I guess is kind of true, but I'm sorry, if Crepeau were in net, that header by Guatemala does not go in. Like, that's not a hard... It's not, like, it's very hard pen to save. It's not a very hard header to save. Like, this is something that I saw Borjan do against the U.S. in, like, World Cup qualifier. Like, this is something Crepeau did in, like, the gold... Like, uh, in the Copa America, like, recently. Like, the exact same play as well. And then, like, in the penalty shot, right? Like, I get it. You know, you're playing Kyle Larin. Like, let's say, right? Because I guess there is, in a sense, that you have to play Kyle Larin. Because, like, if we did play Promise David, at some point we would have had to use 5 strikers if we wanted to play our system. And Kyle Larin eventually does get on there. But, seriously, we have better options. Like, I guess, you don't want to sub on Ishmael Kone for whatever reason. Nathan Saliba is a proven better penalty taker. We literally saw this in the Canadian Shield than Kyle Larin. Why are we assuming that because you're a striker, you're automatically a better penalty shooter than the rest of the team? It makes absolutely no sense. Does, like, experience not does previous results, do they just not matter? Are we just pretending that's not real? Like, okay, these mistakes really should have been fixed by the Nations League, in my opinion. Like, in the Copa America, it was really good, but we had flaws, I think. We had flaws in the Nations League, and by the Canadian Shield, they should have been fixed. And then we had some more flaws, and, like, we just keep pushing this down the line, man. Like, this is not... I mean, it always could be worse. Like, you could be starting Charlie Rodriguez for 90 minutes every game, but, like, man, I don't get it. I just don't understand.
Dude, I've seen people on Reddit saying like, oh, maybe Dane St. Clair's got dirt on Jesse Marsh. I've seen other people saying, oh, maybe maybe Crepeau slept with his wife or something. It's like, I swear there's got to be some personal beef here because just on
That would explain it.
footballing
Crepeau,
terms,
yes.
like
I'm
I
sorry, I won't
can't
true for now.
just on
Crepeau slept with
footballing
Jesse
terms.
Marsh's wife.
I can't see why we would not play Crepeau. And I don't know if I said this in previous videos. I'm sure I had it in my notes somewhere. Maybe I didn't end up using it. Like I do not rate Dane St. Clair. I have not rated Dane St. Clair. Like he plays pretty well in regular time, to be fair. But he has just been so terrible on PKs for like every time he has played in a shootout. And like I know the Dane St. Clair defenders bring up the MLS performance. I'm not worried about club performance, man. There are lots of players that play great for their club and terrible for their national team. I'm forgetting his name, but there's the guy for Norwich City that plays well for them and never
Josh
shows
Sargent.
up for the USMNT. Sargent, exactly. And he played so shit for so long for the USMNT and everyone recognized it. And it's like, why can't we just do the same thing for St. Clair? Why
You mean
can't we
Tyler
just
should make a
put him
starting 11?
Leon Bailey? We had him in a thumbnail, didn't he? For
Oh
for
yeah.
the last Gold Cup episode where we made our brackets. Anyways, it's like why can't we just recognize that this guy he plays good for his club, but he's not bringing that same performance for Canada. And it's just like bench him until he shows that he's able to. Or just until Crépeau becomes washed, which right now I don't think he is. But would we even know? Because we're not playing him, we're not giving him the light of day. He could be bad right now. He could be absolutely amazing, and we'd never be able to tell because for some reason, despite him playing well in recent times, we've just decided not to play him. It's just he's just on the bench the whole time. I honestly do not get it. And again, with Kyle Laren, it's again I recognize like he's done great things for this team. In our darkest days, he has been there for us, like arguably carrying this team. He is not that guy anymore. He's just not. So like bring Kone on, bring Saliba on. Sub them in right before penalty kicks if need be, but like don't keep Kyle Laren on the whole time. I don't even know what Jesse Marsh's criteria is to have people on the starting 11. It's like we've got a veteran here, but then we've also got a goalkeeper that is arguably quite unproven, especially in like the most tense moments where we need him the most. And like we're bringing the guy with a bunch of experience in that's now washed, as well as the guy that has no experience. So I genuinely have no idea what the criteria are to get regular playing time on this team from Marsh. But he's just got to figure shit out, man. He just needs to find a good starting 11 and stick with it. And I'm sure the World Cup will put more pressure on him to do it. But it's like, come on, man. We've had so many tournaments now to figure out a proper roster. And yeah, we have some key players gone, but like we can absolutely manage with the players we had for this tournament. And it is just very disappointing the management throughout because it has completely screwed us over.
Yeah. Oh, I should say something positive about Guatemala. I don't want to pretend like they were absolute dog shit and we just handed this to them on a silver platter. We're
Right, I
obviously
was gonna say
disappointed.
I have
I
some
want to give them a
extra
little
notes
bit
for
of
them as
credit.
well, yeah.
Right. They played with heart, unlike us. They wanted to win. Well, Pinto makes a goal line clearance with for a header early in the first half. Rubio Ruben gets basically one shot on net, one shot on target, one really chance. Takes the header, point blank, hits it. Well deserved, honestly. Guatemala really cooked us in the second half. We were absolutely terrible. Yeah, we were a man down, and even before that, you could say we were dominant, but we weren't really. I mean, Guatemala had a really good chance early into the match, like 7th or 6th minute or something like that, and
Right, they did.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We were never fully in control. We were winning. We were the better side in the first half. Don't get me wrong, but we were to an extent bailed out by that penalty, and we did not control the match the way that I would have hoped we would in an important knockout game.
Yeah, Guatemala, they stayed disciplined. Even when we had 11, they were defending in a compact 4-4-2. They kept their back line deep, their wide men tucked in, and yeah, they took their chances when they got them in the first half, and they played that half out well. And of course, second half, we had that red card. We lost all our discipline, and they kept theirs, and so they were able to dominate us. And yeah, Rubio Ruben's header for the equalizer was textbook. You could argue that it could be saved by a better goalkeeper, but I think he did everything he had to. He timed his run well and guided it low into the corner. Pinto, he controlled the midfield better as the game progressed. He was able to link short triangles with Castellanos and provide some calm distribution under pressure. And their goalkeeper, I'm trying to remember his name because it's not Hagen. It is Navarro. He was a shootout hero, really. Because
Yeah.
like he didn't need to save every shot, of course. He just needed to guess right once and put pressure on the takers, and he was able to, and it paid off. I mean, not even once. He basically managed twice, and of course, you can say those shots that were taken and saved by him were kinda shit, but he did everything he needed to do. I would say he performed much better than St. Clair in this shootout.
I mean, let's not pretend
So
that they didn't give us shit shots either.
right, yeah. But again, like he did everything he needed to do for Guatemala here. He is their second choice keeper, and they didn't just bring him on by choice, unlike with St. Clair. I'm pretty sure their main goalkeeper is injured right now, if I'm not mistaken, and so he had to come on. This guy, he plays in the Guatemalan domestic league. It's not like he's got star power behind him, but again, he put in all the effort that he needed to, and our famed Minnesota United goalkeeper couldn't do shit next to him. So he put so much pressure on our takers, and of course we already had lots of pressure on us, a lot of it self-imposed, and we just could not manage. And so Guatemala's goalkeeper did well in this shootout. Really, the whole team did well, except maybe Jose Pinto because he skied his penalty. Uh, but yeah, the this team has they played this match very well. They were composed all throughout. Uh, Very settled, especially compared to us. You could tell we were just panicking as soon as that red card came in, as soon as that second half started. And this win, it is, I'd imagine, one of the biggest in modern Guatemalan football history. It wasn't flashy, but it was brave, tactical, filled with lots of belief, and ultimately, it was a big upset because I'm sure lots of people had us as favorites going into this tournament, favorites to win it all. We definitely did. And Guatemala did exactly what they had to do against us. They just played like they usually would against any other team. And we were, for whatever reason, not able to manage them. And so, fair play to them. They earned this win.
Okay, let me just make one last point. I actually have a question for you. Let me pose a question for you. Where is Canada on A, the CONCACAF rankings, and B, approximately the world rankings in terms of actual skill? I don't care about what the fuck FIFA says.
That's a good question. I swear we made a tier list in the
Yeah, we
CoDaKrew
did.
group chat not too
That was
long ago.
off.
Yeah.
That was off screen, and I'm glad it is because we clearly rated Canada way too high. We
Yeah,
said
no, I
we
absolutely agree.
thought they were a top 25 team in the world, bruh. That's
This was
crazy.
this was after Shield that we made that, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
right?
we look good after the Shield. Now we look
We
terrible.
did. Honestly, it was not bad. Besides, again, St. Clair kinda underperformed in the Cote d'Ivoire shootout. Uh, I'd argue he did quite a bit worse here, so that's definitely not a good look for us. We're definitely not top 25 like we said back then in early June. When it comes to CONCACAF, I mean, it's safe to say the Mexico and the U.S. are ahead of us. I mean, just for being able
I'm
to
not sure
make
about the
it through here.
U.S. That's a bit.
Okay,
That's a tough thing for me because we're not
okay, you
seeing
know what?
the
Cause
U.S.'s A squad, so it's hard to
actually,
like
yeah,
really.
we'll have
It's
to
hard to
get to their
say.
match. No, so their match was kind of questionable, and we'll get to that. But it is with their B squad, so you can't say for sure how their A team would do. Um, I mean, Mexico, it's not even a question, man. But who else could go ahead of us? Panama, it's like okay, and we also I also discussed this with some other folks, and they were saying like some other people follow CONCACAF from different countries all around the region, and a consensus agreement actually was that Canada's loss was less of an upset than Panama's. I mean, I didn't quite agree with it, but I could be biased just because I have so much shit to talk with St. Clair and Kyle Laren, and also a lot to say to Jesse Marsh. But they were saying like, because Panama they had 11 players, right? They didn't get any red cards throughout. Uh, it was a match they very easily could have held on to, and they just didn't.
Is there a point that like
So
with the
I don't know.
context of the red card that it makes Panama more surprising, where Panama actually beat them 11-11, where at least when we lost, like we were amend. Is
It
that the
was
point?
10
Where
v
they
11.
say,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
basically
is that what they're
their
saying?
argument. Is yeah, pretty much.
I feel
Is
like that's
that
fair
like
then. Then that's actually fair because like
I don't
at
think
least
it's an
if you're a man,
unreasonable
yeah,
argument.
all
Yeah,
bets are off.
right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
So you know what?
an unreasonable argument.
Did they say
Uh,
anything about power rankings? Because I know they do love to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they gave any specific rankings, but it seemed like at the moment they're rating Panama better than or they're rating Canada over Panama for the
I still
moment.
think that's.
Uh,
I mean, because
I
all those
don't
dubs
like.
and
I
losses to
think that's
Canada also give it
reasonable.
to Panama,
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna.
we did beat them
So
last
so
time
I'm
at
gonna
home.
say
So
right. I'm gonna say right now I'm gonna put Mexico first. I honestly don't think that's a question. The U.S. I'll say is second, but because I think they've done decently well for themselves with their B squad here, and it's just like that's basically I'm just assuming that their A team would do better. Maybe that's not the case because we've talked about the U.S. team has a lot of identity issues and lots of internal conflict. So maybe that's not necessarily true. But I'm going to assume they do better, and under that assumption, I'm going to say they're second. Then Canada is third, but I really wouldn't put Panama that far behind us. Like personally, I think our loss was worse than Panama's, but again, that could just be bias as a Canadian fan. Yeah, so I guess Panama goes fourth, and I honestly can't say too much about the other nations, but there would definitely be a few Central
well,
American
Costa Rica
countries
is
coming in.
fifth. I mean, no one else is gonna be fifth.
Right, yeah. Costa Rica's fifth. Uh, I can't
Well,
really
I
say for
okay,
certain the
maybe okay.
others.
Hang on. Let's see what else Guatemala and Honduras do in this tournament. Okay, if one of them
Right.
wins the tournament, then like this whole thing is out of whack. But just based on today,
Exactly. As of now, after quarterfinals, it's going to be U.S., Mexico, Canada, Panama, Costa Rica. You could probably get a couple other Central American countries in there, and eventually you'll get to like Jamaica. But I don't even know what to say with Jamaica. They
yeah. Eventually,
they
if it gets
have
like the
they
top
have
of
lots to deal
25,
with.
30, Jamaica will be there somewhere.
Jamaica will be there eventually. Yeah.
You know, top
Maybe
200 nation in the
maybe
world, I would say.
maybe I'll put Curacao over them as first place Caribbean, but Jamaica will be there. Yeah. Eventually.
Yeah.
Anyways, uh, I
Dominican Republic
guess
over Jamaica, I think, is not even that crazy of a take.
I don't think so. Uh, yeah, we might need to do power rankings sometime, honestly. But okay, do we are we good then for Canada Guatemala? I know we have said
Yeah.
quite a
I
lot
want to say
here.
one thing. The
Yeah, go
one thing
ahead.
I do want to say is, well, for my personal ranking, I would say USA and Canada are interchangeable because I think the US has quietly, like low key, have played the best football in this competition. I saw Mexico as the favorite because there's a big difference between like playing well and winning games, and Mexico is really good at winning scrappy games. And so that is the difference for me. But I think like how good US's B team is says nothing about their A team to me. Like it's entirely possible, as oxymoronic as it sounds, that the US B team is better than the USA team.
No,
And
exactly, and this is the one of the teams where I'd say that's the most possible.
right,
Just like all the stuff we've seen the U.S. team
because
go
the
through, I could
A team is
absolutely
so
see that.
entitled, and the B team is hungry. That's the thing. And then if you start the B team, then the problem transfers over to them as well. So that's the struggle for me. And what I've seen from the U.S. so far, here's why. Like Mexico is clear of everyone. U.S., Canada, Panama is the argument for who's second. And when the U.S. has lost to Panama on home soil the last few times they played, and lost to Canada on home soil the last few times they played, I can't put the USA second. At least not second on its own without being equal to Canada. So that's the way I see it, and I think because of that depth issue that Panama clearly have, like you lose Murillo or you lose Carrasquilla, and that's just a huge loss. I mean, I guess they did make the Nations League final with Murillo, but it was against the USA team, so I don't know how much you want to count there. But yeah, yeah, I would say that's gonna be my final ranking, and I think we should move on because we've been talking about this match for like 30 minutes.
Okay, so I guess we do our last match then would be U.S. Costa Rica. You want to start then?
Yes. So, me and Swapnil and
Okay.
all the other people in the Americas, all the fans of Canada and Mexico and Costa Rica and Venezuela and Peru and etc., 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 we were all cheering for Costa Rica to bring balance back to the universe. Because how epic would it be if we had, for example, like a Mexico vs Costa Rica in the finals, a Mexico vs uh, Guatemala in the finals, even. You know, a blast from the past. But Man, instead, bro, Costa Rica get cursed. Costa Rica, I swear, are cursed in every Gold Cup. In 7 of their last 8 Gold Cups, they have been knocked out in the quarterfinals. And this time, they seem destined to win. Like, I think anyone would have said, if you told people, besides you, Swapnil, because apparently you're just the GOAT like that, if you told anyone that Costa Rica vs USA goes to penalties, and USA is playing their B team, and their keeper is Freese, who has like zero experience in penalty shootouts in like real tournaments. I don't care that he like won 5 out of 6 penalty shootouts in the collegiate level for like did he go to Harvard or whatever? He won penalty shootouts for Harvard University. Like I don't care. Uh, in terms of actual football, Keylor Navas. I don't care that he's 38 years old. Costa Rica should have won this penalty shootout, and somehow they didn't because apparently Freese is the goat. Like I don't even. I don't. That's the best way for me to describe it. This guy like guessed right for every penalty. This guy wore a
Yo,
max so hard. That fifth penalty
you
where he
you
knew
actually
that it was gonna go
you
in
had
goal.
to look at this guy's eyes, bro. He was actually just tracking everything. He's like a fucking owl. 360
Bro,
degree
he was
vision, and
fucking
he's just
possessed, bro.
locked
He looked like a
onto you.
demon.
Oh my god, I was so scared for the fucking Costa Rican team after I
Wait,
saw
you
this
know
guy.
what you know what he looked like? This is gonna sound crazy. You know who Nick DiGiovanni is? He looked like Nick DiGiovanni, but like
The
evil.
chef?
Yeah, like the chef dude. He looked like the chef dude if the chef dude were possessed by a demon.
Yo, Freese is crazy because I was criticizing this guy. I was saying like in the group stage he looked questionable. He actually just locked in for the quarterfinals. He could actually be an absolute beast. If they have more penalty shootouts and he keeps this up, like I can see the U.S. winning any shootout that comes their way with this kind of performance.
Yeah, I don't even, bro. I can't explain what happened. Honestly, man. Honestly, who's like the U.S. guy, like Crystal Palace guy, who's their starting keeper right now? He's not even that good for the U.S., bro. Like, get rid of him, bro. Can we start Matthew Freese in net for all of the U.S. senior matches? Because that was amazing. That was genuinely. Yeah, Matt Turner, like, this guy clears Matt Turner. I'm sorry. In penalties, bro, this guy clears Matt Turner. This is like, the U.S. have found their Tim Krul, and that is such an underrated asset to have. All right, the Tim Krul of the 2020s right here. This guy, if the U.S. gets into a petty shot in the World Cup, this guy's gonna carry them through to another round. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, I mean, another thing is like for the US, historically their goalkeepers have been one of their strong suits. And I'd say we kind of haven't seen that as of late, but again, like with this performance, we could absolutely start to see it come that strength coming back to them very soon. As for the game, like the regular game, it was chaotic in all the right ways. Controversial calls, big saves, beautiful goals. Um, Missed chances. I think there was a pretty big brawl. Like they cleared the benches for a bit, and a nervy penalty shootout. The U.S. they definitely left it late, but I mean, hey, they're heading to another Gold Cup semifinal. That's better than we can say for ourselves right now. And the game it started flat, but I think it was Arfston who had a poor challenge, and it gave Costa Rica a penalty just 12 minutes in, which was buried by Calvo, despite Freese getting a hand to it. That could have shattered Arfston's confidence, but he recovered brilliantly. He created two major chances before halftime, including a curling rebound that forced a ridiculous save from Keylor Navas. And he capped that off by assisting Luna's equalizer, a left foot rocket with a nasty deflection just before halftime. And after halftime, he then went and immediately scored. We had that second goal, a brilliant team move with Richards, Tillman, Aguimang, and Arfston all involved. Might be the best build-up goal that we've seen in this Gold Cup. It was fluid, intentional, and confident. As well, there was Malik Tillman. He had a rough moment. He hit the post from the spot after winning that penalty, but he didn't hide because in that second half he started the move that put Arfston through to score, and really he has just had a great arc throughout this tournament. So we were talking about like the USA team versus the B team and how the B team could potentially be better, quite a lot better than the A team right now just because the A team has so much ego and the B team has that hunger to win and to guarantee their spots and their playing time on this team. And yeah, there have just been a lot of great standout performances from players throughout this U.S. team during this tournament. And I guess with Freese as well in the penalty shootout, we've got another. So there are definitely a lot of players to look out for on this roster.
Yeah, I guess I want to talk a little bit about Costa Rica as well. Like, I think we were talking with a Costa Rican while this match was happening, and he said, this Costa Rica squad is like not that good, but they always like lock in for a few minutes in the second half, and that is exactly what happened. And like apparently, this Costa Rica squad, from what I watched in this match, cannot be cohesive for more than like 5 minutes at a time. Like for 30 minutes, you'll have players like Alcocer, who I like rate as an individual player. This dude like random dribbles around the U.S. He'll like beat U.S. defenders, so he's like good. But then the dribble gets nowhere. Like Costa Rica seemed incapable for the majority of that game to build anything, and only because the U.S. B team is not able to take away their chances. I mean, really, the U.S. should have won 3-1 or 4-1, putting the game away after that second goal, but they couldn't. That's the only reason that Costa Rica was able to come back into that match. And I think this, I would want to say this reflects poorly on the U.S. because you do get the job done. It doesn't matter how you win in a tournament if you do win. But this does, to me, show that, like, again, yeah, Costa Rica lost, and yeah, this is USA's B team, but I think this, like, quarterfinals is really a symbolization that the, like, second tier of teams in CONCACAF are clearly getting better. Because I think soon the US will realize that they can't afford to play their B squads in Gold Cups like this and expect to win anymore. And you'll see that teams like Canada and Panama, if you let your foot off the gas for a little bit, you can get cooked.
Yeah, these Central American squads have just got so much energy to them. And I mean, the U.S., they're playing another. They've got Guatemala to play at Energizer Park in St. Louis in like 2 days from now. I mean, we're recording this the night of the 30th, so we'll probably upload July 1st, Canada Day, by the way. And then, yeah, the next day is going to be US v Guatemala, and we'll have to see how they do there. Because, of course, Guatemala put up quite a good performance against Canada. And Costa Rica put up quite a good performance against the U.S., so there's definitely a threat to be had going into the semifinals. And I mean, as for Costa Rica, uh, like you said, they really picked up the pace in the second half, especially right around when they did score that goal. Because the U.S. they went up 2-1 and they kind of sat off after going up. Whether it was nerves or instruction, Costa Rica was able to take over, if only for a moment, and punish them. Mora turned De La Torre and Arfston inside out. He forced a rebound, and Martinez equalized. It was a I mean, I think it was a deserved win. They locked in when they needed to, and they got their second goal back. Freese, he looked shaky late on, I think. He fumbled a long range shot from, I believe, Brenes, nearly got beaten by Martinez in stoppage time, and he clearly needed to reset mentally going into penalties. And like we were talking about earlier, reset he did. After an up and down 90, he came up clutch with three shootout saves, including the match winner against Andy Rojas, completely reading the body language all the way. And I will say as well, props to Damian Downs. He is just 20. He was the sixth penalty taker. I think this is his knockout debut as well. And he was able to calmly send the U.S. to the semis, coupled with that final save from Freese. It is serious composure for a kid who wasn't even in the original squad until a week before the tournament started. And as for Costa Rica, I mean, Keylor Navas, absolute legend. He did everything he could. Two shootout saves, multiple stops in open play, and leadership throughout. But the Ticos missed too many key players, And with what they had here, it unfortunately wasn't enough to finish the job.
I don't know what else I even want to say about this match. This was a sad, man. This was sad. I'm sorry, like, hate watching the U.S. is everyone's favorite pastime.
Oh
Partially
my
because
god,
of
we
the
had a
match.
generational hate
A
watch on this game.
generational hate watch. The combine, because okay, I don't want to bury the lead too much here, but basically, Swapnil and I recently joined a server with a bunch of North American and South American football fans, and the generational hate watch was crazy. Like I said it already, but if we just look at the nationalities of people that were all coming together to hate watch this, we had the Mexican fans, we had us, we had the Canadians, we had the Costa Ricans, we had the Venezuelans, the Peruvians, the Brazilians. There was even an American in the server that was hating on his own team. Like this is the ultimate hate watch. I have never seen at least in like Prem hate watches, at least the City fans still want City to win, and at least it's just contained within like England. We're not contained within England, but it's not like Lyon fans are randomly tuning into the Man City match in the
Right.
Premier League to shit on Man City. But
Exactly. It's
this
just Prem people.
transcended continents. This transcended
Confederations.
confederations. Like, this is the ultimate generational hate watch because they host every tournament because of the big bad historically along with Mexico. But I guess Mexico has been a fallen giant recently, so now the mantle is on the U.S. and also like for political reasons as well. So, dude, that that second Costa Rica goal, was so.
The reaction was
Crazy.
amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I thought like at that point it was like, oh, it's destiny. It's going into penalties. Costa Rica are gonna win this. Harmony will be restored to the world, but it didn't happen.
Fortunately, the hate watch will continue because we have Guatemala in the
Vamos,
semifinals.
Guatemala! Let's go.
Vamos
Guatemala.
los Chapines. Let's go. I think
Vamos,
do we want to do
Presentes, bro.
any predictions on semis and final at all? Like I know
Yes.
we had
Guatemala,
some stuff
okay.
in mind.
Guatemala win, Honduras win the final 6-0.
6-0. Okay, I'm gonna say, Guatemala. I mean, beating Canada obviously wasn't a fluke. They rose to the occasion, and the U.S. is still kinda shaky, as we saw with that game against Costa Rica. And like there are some players on Guatemala that are like Ruben Castellanos that are gonna make life miserable for the U.S. defense if they get any space behind. I think again, if it goes to pens, like Freese gives the U.S. a lot of hope, but Guatemala, they're gonna want this settled in 90, and I think they can do it. So I have them beating the U.S. just in regular time. If it goes to pens, I honestly have to favor the U.S. there. Just assuming Freese is able to bring the same kind of performance. But I mean, Mexico, Honduras. We were saying before we recorded this, it's like these games. If you had to pick one as an upset, it could just be like a 50-50 choice. No.
Yeah.
Like
That's
honestly, I could see either of these Central American teams pulling off an upset. And this game's going to be ugly too. Like this is not going to be an easy win for Mexico by any means. Like Honduras are going to have hard tackles, I'm sure, tight marking, try to drag the tempo down. But like they're going to need more quality than they were even able to show in that game against Panama, and I don't think they're going to be able to bring that. Menjivar is good between the sticks, but he's going to need like another massive night in goal. And I just don't think Honduras quite has the talent to beat Mexico. So I'm going to have to say Mexico go through in that match. But I mean, as for the final, Mexico, Guatemala, I think the final actually is the only game in this new format that allows extra time before pens. So I'm going to say Mexico, Guatemala, they go into extra time tied 1-1, and Mexico wins. 2-1, 3-1, I can't say for sure. But Mexico will win their, I think, 10th Gold Cup trophy.
Nothing ever changes.
Yeah,
Literally
not
nothing
their
ever changes.
Not their most
Okay.
dominant campaign, but I mean, like, I think they will be rightful champions by the end of it.
I mean, okay, I was joking, but I think seriously, just because nothing ever happens, and then we said the Mexico and U.S. would not make the finals, and then this shit happens.
Oh my God, we called that it was going to be the second final without one of either the
It's
Mexico or
still
the US.
technically possible, but it's not gonna happen.
It's also
Like,
possible, like it's also technically possible that both of them make it. So it's like we were hoping that one of them like might get knocked out by this point. Like you had Mexico going out to Saudi,
right, which
and
I don't think that's that unreasonable a prediction. I still think that it's not that crazy.
yeah, no, but like both of these teams are through, and you know who aren't through are two finalists. So yeah, it could honestly end up being a U.S. Mexico final as usual. It's just business
Yeah,
as normal.
my actual
But
prediction is this U.S. Mexico final because nothing ever happens. And
that's unfortunate. I'm still gonna back Guatemala. I have to hate watch. Don't worry,
no, I
we
will be
we
hate
will
watch. No, don't
have
get me wrong. The hate watch will be generational.
we will have
Listen,
another generational hate
we will
watch
have a
for
second
the
generational hate
semis.
watch against Guatemala, and if Guatemala lose, we will have a third generational hate watch in the finals, where Mexico plays
Yep.
the U.S. or
I
Honduras
like
plays the
I
U.S.
still back Mexico to beat the U.S. if that ends up being what the final
Yeah,
is.
me too.
Like
I think
absolutely.
Mexico probably
So
will
it's
win.
it's just we're hate watching for as long as the U.S. plays, pretty much.
Right. But then the
And
question, okay, but here's the
if the
question,
U.S.
right?
win, I guess we're all washed.
Here's the question: if Guatemala beat the U.S. and Mexico make it to the final, it's Mexico versus Guatemala. Are you hate watching Mexico?
I I wouldn't really call it a hate watch at that point, to be
I
honest.
wouldn't
Like,
hate watch Mexico. I would definitely still cheat. I would want Guatemala to win because that would be such a good
yeah,
story. But I wouldn't be hate watching
I wouldn't
Mexico.
hate watch Mexico. It's like because when the quarterfinals happened 2 days, like a day, 2 days ago, like on that first day, I didn't actually watch either of the games. Like I didn't have obviously much of a personal stake in them, and it's like I could have watched Mexico Saudi, but I didn't. Second day of quarterfinals, I watched that terrible loss to Guatemala by Canada, and you know what? I still tuned in like half an hour later to join the generational hate watch against the US when they played Costa Rica. It's like I let go the Canada loss just temporarily, just so I could take part in that. So I don't know. There's some special hatred I have towards the United States of America, maybe caused by probably largely caused by the current political climate. But I wouldn't hate watch Mexico. I would
Yeah.
absolutely hate watch the U.S. Sorry to all our American fans, uh,
Well, the Mexicans
but
are also
no,
going
it's
through
it's
right
it
now
has to be
with what's
done.
happening politically. So
Yeah,
they're
it has
also
to be
like,
done. Anyways, I think because we're getting out of the football and more just into the politics. So I think we'll cut this off here.
yeah.
We don't have any finalized like predictions for the semis and finals. It's just gonna be U.S. probably beat Honduras, and if we're lucky, I mean though of course I'd or no not Honduras. Mexico probably beat Honduras, and if we're lucky, Guatemala upset the U.S. and then we can get like a Mexico Guatemala final, and then Mexico will probably win, maybe in extra time. They'll
Yeah.
go into double
Is that
digits
that
for
would go extra time,
trophies.
right?
Yeah, that game can go to extra time. Yeah, it's the only one that possibly can.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a terrible format change, by the way. I just want to
Yes,
quickly say
but
it's
it is
like
what it is.
absolutely
Well,
atrocious.
I
It,
mean,
it
it
is what
does
it
get
is.
us more. It does get us more upsets, to be fair.
That's true. I still think it's a bad change, but like it is what it is. Um, ultimately, like I don't even care if Mexico wins. If Guatemala can manage to get to the final and knock out the U.S. to do it, like I'm fine with that. I'd
Yeah.
say that's a pretty good tournament. Again, sorry American fans, it just has to be done. The generational hate watch simply must continue.
Well, some of them are joining in on the general hate watch. On the
That's
generational hate
that's
watch.
true,
So
exactly. It is a hate watch covering all countries, all confederations, even the ones being hated on. It's
it is a
wonderful.
global. It is a It is a intergalactic hate watch.
Anyways, if you wanna join the generational hate watch, or you want to defend the righteous United States of America, make sure to tune in on July the 2nd for the semifinals, and we might make another review video for the semis as well, because there are a couple days between that and the actual final. So watch out in your notifs for that. Assuming you have notifications, make sure you turn them on. And also, Club World Cup. A match actually just played out with
It
Man
is
City
still
and Al
playing
Hilal.
out.
Or
Al
it's
Hilal
still
against Man City,
playing.
2-2.
It's drawn?
It's 2-2, yeah.
Okay.
Al Hilal
I'm
took
gonna
the
say
lead. I was going insane. I didn't want to tell you though during this recording, as I noticed Al Hilal was up 2-1.
I wasn't even watching this game. Okay, so I'm gonna say let's close up shop here. We're gonna end this video off here, and we are going to tune into Man City Al Hilal. But everyone, of course, we're gonna have a similar video like this once round of 16 ends for the Club World Cup. So make sure to tune in for that. And yeah, we'll have more coverage of these two tournaments coming up. So thank you to anyone who's watched this far, and stay tuned for more episodes from the CoDaKrew.
All right. See ya.
Have a good day.